My sister didn't just spill a bottle of expensive champagne on my navy blue gown. She looked me dead in the eyes and told the venue manager that the staff weren't permitted to sob in front of premium guests. But as the champagne soaked through the fabric, I glanced past her shoulder and saw my husband's silver Mercedes pulling into the parking area. And I knew that in exactly 90 seconds, my family's entire existence was about to collapse spectacularly. My name is Sophia Bennett. For the majority of my existence, I've been the invisible daughter, the one who remained in the shadows while my older sister Vanessa absorbed every drop of my parents' adoration like dying soil desperate for water. I'm a biotechnology specialist. I spend my days in research facilities and advanced laboratories trying to develop sustainable food solutions for developing nations. It's understated work, it's unglamorous work, and to my parents, it was a source of profound, searing shame. Before we explore how I finally shattered the silence, I want to ask you something. I'm documenting this from a modest, peaceful community, but I understand these narratives travel globally. If you're watching this from somewhere distant, tell me in the comments where you're tuning in from. I read every single one. It reminds me that regardless of location, we all understand what it feels like to be invisible. Vanessa was the favored child. She married a man named Derek, a senior executive at Nutricorp International, one of the most powerful agricultural corporations globally. Derek drove a vehicle that cost more than my graduate school tuition and wore timepieces that could sustain a small community. My parents, Thomas and Patricia, treated him like absolute royalty. Then there was my husband, Ethan. I met Ethan at an agricultural technology conference in a modest venue in Nebraska. He was wearing denim and work boots, discussing vertical farming techniques with an enthusiasm that made my pulse quicken. To my family, Ethan was the manual laborer. When I brought him home, my mother didn't even offer him refreshments. She asked him if he had bothered to remove the dirt from his boots before entering her home. We've been married for 4 years. In those 4 years, my family has never stepped foot in our residence. They assumed we lived in a dilapidated cottage with basic amenities. They didn't know that Ethan didn't just work in agriculture. He owned Thornfield Agricultural Technologies. He owned the infrastructure, the intellectual property, and the very distribution networks that Derek's corporation depended on to survive. Ethan is worth low 10 figures, but he's the kind of man who would rather repair irrigation systems himself than attend corporate meetings. And me? I wasn't just a laboratory technician, I was the chief research director of our organization. Together, we were the silent powerhouses of the industry, but we maintained our privacy. Ethan always said, "Sophia, if they don't value you when you're struggling, they don't deserve you when you're successful." I agreed, but God, it was becoming increasingly difficult to remain silent. The invitations for Vanessa and Derek's extravagant wedding arrived 8 months ago. It was a $250,000 white tie affair at a vineyard estate. My invitation came with a handwritten note from my mother. Please ensure Ethan wears appropriate formal attire that doesn't smell like manual labor. We have extremely influential people attending. 6 weeks before the wedding, the problems started emerging. My father called me sounding panicked. He didn't inquire about my well-being. He went straight to business. "Sophia, the venue is threatening cancellation. Derek's investments are frozen and we're short $30,000 for the final venue and entertainment deposit. You wouldn't happen to have anything in savings? We'll reimburse you once Derek's year-end bonus arrives." I knew Derek's bonus wasn't materializing. I knew through industry connections that Nutricorp International was conducting a comprehensive audit because someone had been misappropriating corporate funds. But I heard my father's desperate tone, and I thought of Vanessa. Despite how she treated me, she was my sister. I sent the funds anonymously through a charitable foundation we use for donations. I instructed the venue to tell them it was a special promotional discount. Vanessa posted about it on Instagram the next day. "The universe just confirms I deserve excellence. A $30K discount because the venue adores my vision." Ethan saw the post and said, "Sophia, you're too generous for them. You understand that, right?" "I just want one occasion where we're all content, Ethan," I whispered. How foolish I was. The day of the wedding arrived, and with it, chaos. Not just the meteorological one in the clouds, but the one developing at that vineyard. If stories like this resonate with you, the ones about the overlooked people finally claiming their dignity, take a quick moment to like this video or subscribe to the channel. It tells me that there's a community here that values authenticity over appearances. It genuinely helps me continue sharing these narratives with you. We arrived at the vineyard. Ethan had to remain outside for 30 minutes to handle an urgent call from an overseas partner, so I entered alone. I was wearing a simple, sophisticated navy blue gown, not ostentatious but refined, elegance. My mother met me at the entrance. Her expression dropped. "Sophia, you look acceptable, but there's a complication. Derek's board chairman decided to attend last minute. We're exceeding capacity in the reception hall."
"All right," I said. "So where do I sit?" She gestured toward the outdoor patio. It was exposed. It was drizzling. There were several metal folding chairs positioned under a deteriorating fabric canopy near the service entrance. "You're not serious," I said, my voice shaking. "Sweetheart, be rational," my father said, materializing behind her. "Derek's career depends on these individuals. Your family, you'll understand. Just remain out here until the speeches conclude. We'll bring you some remaining food." I stood under that deteriorating canopy for 90 minutes. The service staff bumped into me repeatedly. The rain splattered the bottom of my dress. Then Vanessa walked out. She looked stunning, but her expression was frigid. "Sophia, what are you doing? You're obstructing the service pathway," she snapped. "I'm sitting where Mom instructed me to sit, Vanessa, in the elements." "Don't be theatrical. You're fortunate you're even present." Honestly, Derek was concerned Ethan would start discussing irrigation systems to the chairman and destroy his advancement. She examined my dress. "Is that designer fabric? It's a bit extravagant for a laboratory worker, don't you think?" Before I could respond, she stumbled. It was the most deliberate trip I'd ever witnessed. The full champagne flute in her hand didn't just spill, she launched it. It covered my torso, my waist, and my self-respect in sticky, staining liquid. "Oh dear," she mocked, not a trace of remorse in her voice. "Well, I suppose you definitely can't enter now. You look like a disaster. Security, can you escort this individual to the parking area? She's creating a disturbance." My parents observed from the glass doors. They didn't move. They didn't utter a word. They simply turned away and returned to their celebration. I was walking toward the gravel pathway, tears obscuring my vision, when Ethan's Mercedes pulled up. He stepped out, looking impeccable in a tailored midnight blue suit. He saw me, the wet hair, the champagne-stained dress, and his expression went from calm to dangerous in an instant. "Sophia, what happened?" I couldn't even speak. I just indicated toward the reception hall. Ethan didn't hesitate. He grasped my hand and marched toward the main entrance. The venue manager tried to stop us. "Sir, the patio guests are—" "Move," Ethan said. It wasn't a shout. It was an absolute command. The manager saw the intensity in Ethan's eyes and stepped aside. We burst into the reception hall precisely as Derek was giving a toast about success and the significance of elite social connections. The room went silent. Vanessa gasped, "Sophia, I told you to leave." My mother rushed over. "Ethan, please, you're creating a scene. You're going to destroy Derek's important night." But someone else was moving towards us. It was an older gentleman in a charcoal suit, the board chairman of Nutricorp International, the man Derek had been terrified of. "Ethan?" the chairman asked, sounding shocked. "Ethan Bennett? I've been attempting to reach your office for 10 days. I didn't know you were attending this event." The room shifted. You could actually hear the oxygen leave Derek's lungs. "I'm not attending," Ethan said, his voice resonating. "I was here to support my wife's family, but it appears my wife's family believes she belongs in the rain, and they believe I'm just a manual laborer who might embarrass them." Derek stepped forward, perspiring. "Sir, Mr. Bennett, there's been a catastrophic misunderstanding. Sophia, honey, why didn't you mention—" "Mention what, Derek?" I asked, stepping forward, the champagne still dripping from my hem.
That the $30,000 discount that saved your wedding came from my supposedly poor husband's account? That the research data you cited in your board presentation was authored by me? The chairman's eyebrows elevated. Derek, you told the board that research was your original work. It, it was a collaborative effort, Derek stammered. No, Ethan said, it was plagiarism, just like the $50,000 you've been embezzling from the NutriCorp Development Fund to finance this extravagant wedding. Vanessa screamed, "That's a fabrication! My husband is accomplished!" Ethan extracted a folder from his jacket, the audit report he'd received during the car ride. He handed it to the chairman. I was going to wait until next week to sign the acquisition between my company and yours, but observing how your executives treat my wife, I think I'll be directing my business elsewhere. And Derek, don't bother reporting to the office next week. Security will have your belongings in a cardboard box outside. My father tried to grab Ethan's arm. Son, let's discuss this. We're family. Ethan looked at my father's hand like it was contaminated. Family sits together at the table, Thomas. They don't place their daughter in the elements. Sophia, let's go. We walked out. As we reached the vehicle, I heard the music stop. I heard the caterers announcing that the final payment had been canceled by the sponsor. Without that $30,000 I had sent, the contract was void. The lights literally went dark on Vanessa's wedding. But here's the twist I didn't anticipate. 3 days later, my mother appeared at our house, the actual house, the estate with the floor-to-ceiling windows and the private vineyard. She didn't come to apologize. She came with documentation. Since you destroyed Vanessa's life, she said, examining our home with envious eyes, the least you can do is pay off the debt Derek left us with. If you don't, I'll tell the media that Ethan Bennett is a ruthless tycoon who destroys his own family for entertainment. I looked at her. I didn't feel anger anymore. I just felt empty. Go ahead, Mom, I said. Contact them. But before you do, you should know that I documented the entire champagne incident on the patio. The security cameras Ethan owns at that venue captured everything. If you go to the media, the world won't see a ruthless tycoon. They'll see a mother who watched her daughter get assaulted and then demanded money. She turned pale and left. I haven't heard from them since. Vanessa and Derek are living in my parents' guest house now. Derek is facing a corporate lawsuit for the embezzlement, and Vanessa is selling her designer wedding gifts on resale websites to pay for his legal fees. Ethan and we're back in the laboratory. We're back in the research because at the end of the day, you can't cultivate anything beautiful in a place constructed on deception. If you stayed until the very end of this story, thank you. It means everything to me. And if you've ever been the one who was made to feel insignificant or the one they tried to conceal in the back of the room, this space is for you. Your worth isn't defined by the chair they assign you. It's defined by the person you are when no one is observing. Don't forget to tell me where you're watching from in the comments, and I'll see you in the next story. Stay strong.